used. But even trying to airlift from there, but then there was so much of turbulence and they were not able to get stability. So that was also not possible. Even for the NDRF team, it was not possible to reach where Babu was, mainly because of the nature, the steepness of this place where he was in this area. So yesterday evening, the Chief Minister sought for help from Army. And immediately after that, mountaineering experts from two teams, one from Wellington and one from Bangalore, one from Tamil Nadu and one from Karnataka, had started. Late night itself, they reached early morning today, they started this rescue mission. And a few moments back, finally, one of the army officials who went down was able to give him some water, tie the rope to him, and they are taking him out of that mountain cavity right now. They're trying to bring him to the top of the mountain. As of now, we know that about 150 meters have been covered, and the most difficult process of this rescue mission is ongoing at the moment.
Dramatic rescue visuals on our screens. The good news is that the army has made contact and the rescue mission and the final leg has already begun. But Neetu, as you were rightly pointing out, and this is what we saw in the statement that was put out by the Southern Command of the Indian Army, that this was a steep gorge and that's why all rescue operations weren't going to be so easy. And that's why when the army was brought in. Now talk to us about how long before he reaches that mountaintop and then it can be airlifted.
They will take some time to take him safely, because he has been tired for 2 days. No water. Just now that he's been provided with some water, there was no food and water. As we are speaking now, the most difficult process is going on, where he is being taken to the mountaintop. That could take a couple of minutes more before he reaches safely on the mountaintop. That's once he reaches safely on the mountaintop, that's when we can say that he has been brought to safety. And then the second leg of this rescue, that is airlifting him from there. That is the plan as of now, to give him the first aid and airlift him to the nearest hospital. It's about 15-20 minutes since the rope has been tied and the carrying process has begun. It will take another at least 10-20 minutes is what we are understanding at the pace in which this is going. Though Babu has been injured on his leg, it's not a very serious injury where he's not able to come up. So he is giving the support, and the army official is also supporting and bringing him out of it. As of now, what we understand is that about 150 meters from the place where he was stuck, he has been brought up. The terrain is such that
Correct.
The terrain. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Neetu. Go ahead.
Okay, the terrain of this mountain is such that it's not like, even when you see these from these visuals, it might look like it is a very steep, but at some places there are rocks that are projecting, and so it's extremely difficult to tie the rope and come down. So that is why it took so much time. Now, when they are going up, it will take more time, because Babu is injured. He's tired from 2 days, and he has to be brought to safety. So that will take a couple of more minutes. But at this moment, the most difficult process of this rescue mission is ongoing, and the positive news is that he is finally being brought up to the mountaintop. When he's up in the mountaintop, that is when we can have a huge sigh of relief that the most difficult part of this rescue mission is over.
Neetu, will request you to stay on with us just to give a recap to our viewers as well. And it says so much about the grit and determination of Babu himself. Remember, he's been without food and water for almost 40 hours. And as Neetu was pointing out, slightly injured on one of his leg as well, but fully cooperating as far as these rescue operations, still hanging on. And now the final leg does become. And now remember, he had trekked up the 1,000 feet Kurumbachi Hill on Monday along with 2 other friends. Now, while descending from the summit, Babu slipped and fell into a rock niche, which Neetu was describing, and this is where he got trapped. His panic-stricken friends then tried to rescue him, but all was was in vain simply because of how the topography is, and it is a very steep gorge. And after the friends informed the state authorities, the NDRF teams did try to rescue. Then the army was also brought in, and finally that contact has been made and he is being rescued. And the final leg of that rescue operation is currently taking place. Those dramatic visuals on our screens. After that rescue operation, he'll be brought back to the mountain top. His parameters will be checked, probably will be given some sort of food and water, and then, as Neetu was pointing out, probably will be airlifted as well. But all of this could still take a couple of hours. But the good news is, and this will be a big relief to his friends and family as well, that he is okay, he's alive, and he's been rescued by the Indian Army. Neetu continues to be with us. Neetu, as I was pointing out, that he was not a trekker in terms of it was not something that he did very frequently. He was with a bunch of friends. Was this their only trekking experience, or had they done this before as well?
He's a local from this area. He knows the area, but what we are learning from his friends is that this trekking he is doing for the first time. He is a local from this area, and the friends with whom he went also were locals in this area. But they are telling, what friends are telling us is that this is the first time that Babu is trekking like this, and he that might be one of the reasons why this has happened. He was also not very clear of the route, is what we were told.
Okay, talk to us about the members in the rescue team. As you were pointing out, one was from Bangalore and one was from Wellington. I believe it had some representation of army officers, some JCO and other 5-rank officers. Do we have a composition of the team that is working so hard to get Babu back to his home?
See, we know that 2 teams of the army has come in late night itself, one from Wellington and one from Bangalore, and there are mountaineering experts in this team. Now, when they reached here, it's not just these 2 teams, but the NDRF teams as well as the civil defense volunteers. They're also there as part of this. But the real mission of ascending down, tying the rope, this is done by the army team. We are waiting to get more details as to how many were. But as of this morning, we know that there were at least 40 in this team, 40 members in this team who were trying to rescue.
Okay, we'll just try and get Neetu back, but as we said, the good news is, and this will be a big relief, not just for Babu, his family members and friends, but for the entire country, that finally contact has been made. He'd been stuck for over 40 hours without any food and water. So that ordeal now ending for Babu. As the army has begun the rescue operation, he will be brought down to the top of the mountain and then probably airlifted from there. Remember, as I said, a lot needs to be spoken about the grit and determination for somebody who was a first-time trekker. He in fact lost his way and then fell into this steep gorge, and that made the rescue even more difficult. He's got a bit of an injury on his leg as well. But the NDRF, the army and state authorities all working round the clock to ensure that Babu can reach his home and to his family members sound and safe. Those visuals on your screen. So let me just give you a recap of what really has happened. As we pointed out, that this was a first-time trekker, and thus probably he lost his way and then fell into this steep gorge. He wasn't alone. He was accompanied by a bit of friends who actually raised the first alarm. They did try to rescue him initially, but all was in vain. State authorities also have been monitoring the situation very, very closely. The Coast Guard was informed, the NDRF was informed, and the army as well. It's a team of almost 40 members. Teams have been brought in from Bangalore, from Wellington as well, and the state authorities also monitoring the situation very, very closely. But it is a 40-hour ordeal that will be ending for Babu very, very soon, and literally will be just a matter of time before Babu can actually be airlifted and then taken to his home as well. Neetu is now back with us. Neetu, any updates that we're getting in terms of the condition of Babu? As you pointed out that he has a bit of an injury on his leg, but other than that, any more details emerging?
See, right now what we can say is that he has been brought to the mountain top. So this is a picture that has been we have got, that he is along with the team that has rescued him. So we know that he has been brought to the mountain top. So the most difficult part was to bring him to the top of the mountain. He will be given first aid. to the nearest hospital, what we are understanding at the moment. As far as his injuries are concerned, we know that he has been on
Okay, we'll just try and fix that connection with Neetu. But those first visuals coming in, and this is going to be a big sigh of relief. Babu has been rescued. The first visuals of his rescue on your screens here on CNN News 18. He has been brought to the mountaintop. So the worst is over. From here, as I pointed out earlier, his parameters will be checked, probably will be given some food and water. His injuries will be monitored as well and then taken to a nearby hospital and eventually will go home as well. So as we said, the worst is now over. The army has managed to bring Babu safely to that mountaintop from where, as Neetu was pointing out, he probably will be airlifted. But now he is with the team that helped in his rescue. So food and water can also be provided. His injuries can be checked as well. A 40-hour plus ordeal now comes to an end as Babu is now with the rescue team on that mountaintop. Those visuals on your screens. As we pointed out, it hasn't been easy because you had the Coast Guard, you had the NDRF and the army all trying to work together. But just the topography of the area and the steep gorge in which Babu had slipped and fallen had made the rescue even more difficult. So it's taken a bit of a time for the army to even make that contact with him and then bring him down safely. Remember, he's slightly injured as well. He's tired, he's drained out, hasn't had food and water. But now being brought to that mountaintop, and from here he will be airlifted and possibly be taken to a nearby hospital as well. We'll try and get Neetu back to try and understand where he will be taken and what the proceedings will look like. But as we said, the good news is, and the entire nation was praying for this, that Babu should be rescued soon enough. And now that has happened. The first visuals of him on that mountaintop being rescued by the army team and possibly will be taken to a hospital nearby as well. Group Captain MJ Vinod is also now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, good to have you on the broadcast with us. What a rescue this really has been. It wasn't easy. You had the Coast Guard, the NDRF and the army working. The topography didn't make it easy, but a big sigh of relief, not just for Babu and his family, but for the entire country.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, right now as we speak, I am like a few kilometers from that place. If you correctly covered, Malampuzha is a very difficult terrain firstly, and there is a dam over there, very picturesque dam. In fact, I have some superb aerial video shots of that place. And what is important for us to understand is it is unlike the hills that people up north experience and see. This is those hills that is thickly wooded, firstly, and with full of animal activity, especially leopards and elephants and such like that. And rescuing somebody from a thickly wooded area is not going to be easy, and probably Charitable Babu, a youngster of 23 years old of age, could rough it out, and he is today available with us without food and water for nearly more than 40 hours. So that is hats off to even Babu as well. But I recall once we had an ejection when I was in Bagdogra, and we were looking for the down pilot, very similar terrain, very close to Sikkim. So I understand how the entire nuances of and what goes behind in looking for a person who is missing. So this is something, kudos to Army, kudos to everyone who went and found Babu. If you permit me, I'll also tell you, what goes behind the operation.
Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
So, once we get a particular platform of how and where he, in the general area of where he could be, then we draw out a plan as to how do we approach this particular rescue operation. And there are many, there is something called CLA, there's a particular method in which you approach this area where he is trapped And a lot of logistics go into both medical as well as other logistics goes into how you rescue a person. So it's an absolutely a professional job. And in India, we don't have, forces or specially trained people who do this rescue. It happens, of course, in US and all. There are many such, even local police is trained. But in India, it is only army who could have done what they have done. And I don't know why he ended up with that rock face and that sheer rock, looking for some adrenaline pumping. But yes, he is with us today, alive and kicking.
Okay, sir, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Let me just understand what the ground situation currently is. The Palakkad MLA, Shafi Parambil, also now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, good to have you on the broadcast with us. Could you give us any more details of where things stand currently? We're already getting the first picture that, yes, Babu is on that mountain top. Could you give us more details of what will happen from here on?
Yeah, we are. It is a moment of greatest relief. The most riskiest part has been successfully completed by the army personnel, and I must mention special thanks to them for the effort that they have taken for us. The second thing is that the boy also fought so well. Even after this 48 hours of not even having a single drop of water, he was climbing the rock with the support personnel. So that was an amazing thing to have. We were worried about his situation because if he was in a situation where he could not walk, thus rappelling, ascending could have been much more risky a job. So now he's on the top of the rock, the mountain. Now we are expecting a helicopter from Sulur to reach here in some 20-25 minutes. If the helicopter is able to airlift him, I know the wind here is again a problem, but he is on the top of the mountain. If the helicopter is able to airlift him, he may go to Dhoni, or we have a helipad at Bemel over here, and from there he will be shifted to district hospital. He has been given the first aid, and the IV fluid is being running right now. We have given some food and all. Water also is being given. He seems to be okay as of now, and they are waiting for the arrival and the trial of helicopter to airlift him.
Sir, we were also getting reports that there was some sort of an injury on his leg. Do we have any more details? What is his condition like?
Yeah, injury was on his knee, but he could withstand it because, as you may have seen in the visuals, he was climbing up the mountain with the person and with the support of the rock. So he is a fighter also. Otherwise, I don't think it is very easy for a guy who was away from even a drop of water for 48 hours to climb the rock by about 500 meters up like this. So I think the injury is manageable as of now. Otherwise, he could not have made it like this. Next details we have to get it once the medical team is up to him.
So what is the army telling you? What are the weather conditions looking like? Will the helicopter rescue be possible in the next couple of hours?
It's pretty hot over here, but that can be managed. What they are feared about or scared about is the wind over here on the top of the mountain. Wind is coming from both sides, they say. I don't know technically how much it is impossible for them to airlift, but they'll try for sure. They're expecting the arrival of a helicopter in some 20 minutes.
So what about the contact with his family? Have you been able to speak to his family members?
Yeah, I just met them. I just went back to the place where they all were halting. I just met them. I conveyed them that this has happened, and I asked them to be, to be at peace, and they are very much happy, relieved. They have been waiting for all those hours on a rock, waiting for their son to come back. There was not even a drop of tear from her eyes. She was so strong and confident, and she was saying that I know our team will bring him back. God will help us help him come back. And she stayed strong, and that boy also fought it very well.
Sir, could you talk to us a little more about the rescue operation? Because most experts had been talking about how the topography and the terrain were difficult. Any word that's coming in from the army of how they went about this rescue?
See, it is like the terrain is very much difficult for such operation. Everybody is thinking how the boy has reached there. Even that seems to be very risky. Not even reaching there. If he has fallen from a height, he is so lucky to have where he has been last 48 hours. an inch below that or an inch above that, I don't know what the picture will be. It is that much risky. The thing is that we tried airlifting yesterday, but when helicopter comes, the blade with, it is not on the top of the mountain or not even below. It is on the center. So we cannot approach the helicopter towards him. The worst part it was, even though our people, our rescue forces tried to reach him some 300 meters near to him, some 600 or some meter below him, we were not even able to hand over a bottle of water to him. We tried so many things, even drones was tried, and the strong wind could not help the drones to stay. And when some powerful things came from Chennai today, by the time Army, they started their operation yesterday night, as and when they arrived here, and they reached at 3 different places, one on the top, one on the side, and one below. And there was a base camp set up in the bottom of the hill, and the things were coordinated from here. The team on the top came down rappelling, descending towards the boy, and the team here through their long machine cameras gave the necessary direction through the walkie-talkie, and they was moving, shifting sides, moving towards the boy. And once they met the boy, the other team also came in support, and they lifted in the support of the army personnel. And the terrain is much, it is like, at some part it is like a straight line deep from the mountain to the bottom. It looked like a straight line. And there is not even a tree to say at that place of the mountain to be safe along with. So it was quite risky a job, but Army could do it. Army could save the boy. That brings much relief for us.
So the biggest worry was that because he had been hanging for 40 hours, he probably could have been dehydrated. Are his parameters normal? All those checks have been done?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest risks. Night was too cold. Even I reached at some 2 a.m., 3 a.m. over here. It was difficult for me to stay at the ground. Then how it could have been at the top, you can just imagine. And the days, Palakkad is one of the hottest place of Kerala. So days is too hot. So dehydration possibilities is too high. And yesterday at some point of time when the helicopter was doing the hovering, the boy was showing his t-shirt, shirts and waving his hand. We were at least relieved to see that. Then slowly his actions also gone less. We were worried about him. And when the helicopter went away, he seems to be really sad, and his movements was reduced, very much reduced. Then our team tried to reach him. When the army people reached him in the night, some 150, 200 meters above, they tried to talk him. They shouted at him. He shouted back. Then they told that we are here, be there only, be confident, we will pick you up. Then he was asking for water. They told that everything is coming your way. Don't worry. You are safe now. Be there. Don't sleep or don't fall down. Stay alert. We are reaching to you. Don't make noise or sound, as you may get tired because of that. Then they approached him. Now dehydration, the IV fluid is already running. I think they are able to maintain that thing through IV fluid. It was already ready on the top of the mountain.
Okay, so we leave the conversation there. Thanks for getting us all those details, and credit not just for Babu but for the heroic rescue and the teams that were involved from the NDRF, Coast Guard and the Army team as well. As the MLA was explaining to us that it wasn't easy on all aspects. Neetu is also now back with us. Neetu, so the good news is that he's back on the top of that mountain. His parameters look okay for now, and he will be taken to a nearby hospital. Any more details that you're picking up?
See, as the MLA said, he will be airlifted from there. He will be taken to the hospital. Though he has injuries to his legs, it's not as it's not so bad, or it's not so much as bad as expected. He was being able to brought up to the mountaintop, as the picture that we showed. That was the first picture that had come out of Babu along with the rescue team. Now, the mountaineering experts from the Indian Army with all the modern equipments had come in to this area. Now, there was a Lieutenant Colonel Hemant Raj. We ISM along with one officer with high altitude warfare school qualified JCOs, both high altitude warfare school instructors, 5 ORS unqualified and 4 rock climbing course qualified and 4 professional rock climbers. Two driver these were the members among the team in the army who had come for this rescue. So after more than 40 hours, it's a huge relief that Babu has been brought to safety. He has been brought to the mountaintop. The most difficult part of this rescue mission is over, and his injuries are not as severe as we thought, because the climate was also a major issue, because Palakkad is a place which during the day is extremely hot, and at night this place could be really cold, and he was sitting on the mountaintop for 2 days.
And this is exactly what I asked the MLA, right? That was the biggest worry, that he could have been dehydrated and he could have lost hope, but none of that happened. The good news is Babu has been rescued. We'll keep tracking all these developments. Neetu, thanks for getting us those details. We're slipping into a very short break.
मंत्री देखना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि उन्हीं की वजह से आज जेवर विश्व मानचित्र पर आ गया है। अभी एक CAG ऑडिट हुआ था नोएडा प्राधिकरण का, तो 50,000 करोड़ का घोटाला मिला। तो ये घोटालेबाज लोग हैं, इन पे मुद्दा तो कुछ और है नहीं। इनके समय में यहाँ से कंपनियां पलायन करने लगी थी, बड़े बड़े उद्योग धंधे।
The constituency though is sharply divided. Right outside the Shamnagar Mandi, where Dhirendra Singh campaigned, a fight broke out between RLD and BJP supporters.
ये तो बीजेपी वाले तो न्यू कहें कि चीन और पाकिस्तान, हिंदू और मुसलमान, और बुरकी मार है मंदिर की। जो ठोस मुद्दा है महंगाई और बेरोजगारी, उसकी चर्चा नहीं है, उससे तो ध्यान हटका हुए हैं।
यह वह क्षेत्र है जेवर जहाँ रात को लाइटें नहीं थी, जहाँ दंगा होता था। आज की डेट में वो दंगा या तो जेलों के भीतर है या उन्हें दुनिया से समाप्त कर दिया है, और वो किया है केवल योगी जी ने। मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार में 2017 के बाद 3 बार पुलिस के एग्जाम दे चुका। मेरा नंबर नहीं आता, उसमें मेरी गलती है। सरकार बाइज्जत रोजगार निकाल रही है और कोशिश करती है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा रोजगार दें।
The Jewar airport will service all of western Uttar Pradesh, from Noida to Bulandshahr, Mathura, Agra, Ghaziabad and Meerut. While BJP showcases the airport and with it Yogi government's commitment to Vikas, the largely agrarian belt in these parts debate if the Kisan is getting his due.
नाराजगी की वजह यह है कि किसानों के लिए कुछ ये करना पाए 5 साल वो सरकार चलाने के बाद, जो समय पे जो फसल आवे उसकी बिक्री नहीं हो।
कोई कुछ फायदा नहीं, रोजगार नहीं, भर्ती नहीं, कुछ क्या फायदा है बताओ तुम।
पिछली बार मुझे याद है 17 में, 14 में, 19 में मोदी जी जो भी वादे करते थे, योगी जी जो भी वादे करते थे, युवा वर्ग उसको बहुत अच्छे से लेता था। उनको लगता था यही आपके लिए सही है। अब क्या युवा वर्ग की सोच में कुछ बदलाव आ गया है, कुछ अलग सोचता है?
कुछ बदलाव नहीं है मैम। सबसे मेन चीज़ है कि युवा पढ़ाई लिखाई करता है, इसलिए करता है कि हमें कोई रोज़गार मिले, लेकिन हमारी डिग्रियां, डिप्लोमा अलमारियों में पड़ी सड़ रही हैं, कोई जॉब कुछ है नहीं। सबसे मेन चीज़ है यहाँ का विकास इतनी तेज़ी से चल रहा है कि मैं खुद जेवर गवर्नमेंट ITI से ITI कर रहा हूँ। मेरा सन 2018 का बैच है, अब 22 चल चुकी है। तो आप सोचिए, जो 2 साल का कोर्स है, 4 साल तक तो मैं बराबर पेपर दे रहा हूँ।
बहुत सारे मुद्दे गिनारे थे कि यहाँ पे रोजगार का
बेरोजगारी है, विकास है। इन्होंने देखो, जो हमारी सरकार है रोजगार के मामले में तो बहुत पीछे है। विकास कुछ हद तक इन्होंने किया है, ठीक किया है, लेकिन अगर बात करते हैं इनके जो प्रत्याशी थे, जो जीते हुए प्रत्याशी हैं, उन्होंने यहाँ हमारे कोई विकास नहीं किया। वो तो केवल अपने गांव के इर्द गिर्द, उनका गांव है रघुपुरा के नजदीक, उन्होंने केवल वहाँ विकास किया है, अपने यहाँ केवल लोकल में।
विधायक से आप नाराज हैं?
बहुत अच्छी तरह से नाराज।
मुख्यमंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री?
मुख्यमंत्री तो बहुत अच्छा है, योगी बाबा जैसा मुख्यमंत्री शासन के लिए बहुत अच्छा है।
You know, they're all saying that employment is an issue, and they're also saying that there is an issue of Vikas, but at the same time, what they're saying is that as far as the Chief Minister and the Prime Minister is concerned, they don't have any specific complaint from the leadership, but they are very aggrieved with the choice of candidate of their local constituency.
Jewar International Airport, the project that has brought this sleepy hamlet in Gautam Budh Nagar to the world stage. The airport seeks to be Asia's largest and the 4th largest in the world.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हमारे लिए
राजनीति का नहीं बल्कि राष्ट्र नीति का हिस्सा है। भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य की एक जिम्मेवारी है।
At Jewar, the airport is the primary talking point.
एक लाख फॉर्म भरे जाते हैं, कहाँ से नंबर आएगा? बेरोजगारी सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा है, क्योंकि हम तो चाहते हैं कि हमारी गवर्नमेंट जॉब हो, हमारा फ्यूचर सिक्योर हो।
जो भी लोकल हैं इन सबको रोजगार मिलेगा, बहुत चीज़ें बढ़ेंगी और बहुत ज़्यादा ये रोजगार के माध्यम भी बढ़ेंगे। यहाँ पे
धनकौर में वीवो कंपनी है, वो हमारे लोकल ने लेती नहीं है, ऐसे ये कर देंगे। जब 300 किलोमीटर के दूर के बाल करने ले रहे हैं, अगर यहाँ एयरपोर्ट आ जाएगा तो एयरपोर्ट आने के बाद फिर हमें नौकरी क्यों नहीं मिलेगी?
जो यहाँ पे कंपनी आएंगी, इंडस्ट्री आएंगी, सब में तो वैकेंसी की ज़रूरत होगी।
जब से प्रोजेक्ट एयरपोर्ट का आया है हमारे जेवर कस्बे में, जब से बाहरी लोग यहाँ पर निवेश करने लगे हैं, जिसके कारण ज़मीनों में उछाल आया है।
While locals are looking at the Jewar Airport project to change their lives for the better, compensation received for the land is a sore point. Ajay Pratap Singh at the Dayanatpur village rummages through the bricks of what was once his house. Today it is the site for the boundary wall of the Jewar Airport. Singh claims that the compensation received in lieu of his land is inadequate.
हमारे मकानों को बिना समय दिए, बिना नोटिस दिए हमारे मकानों को, गांव को तोड़ दिया गया। जहां हमें बसाया गया है, पानी की सुविधा नहीं, बिजली की नहीं, कोई सुविधा नहीं है। हम लोग ग्रामीण थे, आज आप भी देख रहे हैं ग्रामीण वातावरण है, आप रास्ते से आए हैं निकलकर, लेकिन हमें जबरदस्ती नगर क्षेत्र बना दिया गया जो कानूनन अवैध है।
यहाँ किसान 1200 गज में मकान बना कर रहता था। 1200 गज में अपना कहना में मकान भी, अपनी भैंस भी, अपना ट्रैक्टर भी, अपनी बुग्गी भैंसा भी। अब जो इन्होंने प्लॉट दिए वहाँ 50 मीटर का 60 मीटर में, अब बताइए 50-60 मीटर में वहाँ किसान मकान बनाएगा कि अपनी भैंसों को रखेगा?
6 villagers are agitating against the government on land acquisition issue. Some allege that since their land was in rural area, they deserved 4 times the price under the law. But they claim the government cheated them by calling this area urban. Others, like Rukmuddin, claim they have been forced to live in tents for over a year since their residential land was not compensated for. It is this anger that RLD candidate Avtar Singh Bhadana tries to cash in on. Campaigning in the Chiroli village, Bhadana promises better compensation for land and redressal of the issues of farmers.
भडाना जी, आप यहाँ घूम रहे हैं पूरे क्षेत्र में, सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा आपके हिसाब से जेवर की जनता के लिए इस चुनाव में क्या है?
सबसे बड़ा कि यहाँ के किसान और मजदूरों के साथ जुल्म हुए हैं, तो इस एरिया की ज़मीनें गई, उनके घर उजाड़ दिए गए, उनको ज़मीनों से बेदखल कर दिया गया है कि उनको इस एरिया के 200 किलोमीटर के एरिया का कोई बच्चा यहाँ नौकरी नहीं करेगा। मुझे इन बच्चों के रोज़गार की बात करनी है, मुझे इनके विकास की बात करनी है। यहाँ कुछ भी नहीं है। दिखने को इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है, लेकिन ग्राउंड पर कुछ नहीं।
Sitting BJP MLA Dhirendra Singh counters Bhadana by questioning his credentials. Bhadana has recently come to the RLD SP combined and to Jewar after representing Mirapur as a BJP MLA earlier. Singh says issues of locals can be taken care of only by the BJP. His main plank that the Yogi government made the Jewar airport a reality, while previous governments only got scams and lawlessness.
जेवर विधानसभा इस वक्त दुनिया का निवेशकों का एक ऐसा